Next, we'll be hearing from Lizz Albany. Liz is a senior in Brain and Cognitive Sciences, focusing in early childhood cognition. Additionally, she is working towards her Massachusetts Teacher's Certification in Elementary Education. She conducts research in the Early Childhood Cognition Lab under Dr. Laura Schultz, where she is studying the way in which young children come to understand the world around them through social and play interactions. Outside of academics, Liz is an active member of her sorority, Pi Beta Phi, and currently serves as the chair of Aerospike, their primary annual philanthropy event. She is also an associate advisor for the UAAP, a founding member of the Returning Students Mentoring Program, and a member of the inaugural Student Advisory Committee on Diversity and Admissions. She is also a member of the Community Catalyst Leadership Program and is a SMART Scholar with the Department of Defense, where she will head to the White Sands Missile Range in White Sands, New Mexico, to work for the Army upon graduation. The title of Liz's talk today is Alternate Courses: Why All MIT Students Should Graduate with at least 2 degrees. Please welcome Lizz Albany.
Welcome to the commencement ceremonies of the MIT class of 2012. There are beaming parents in the audience, desperately searching to find their children in the sea of black caps and gowns. Professors and faculty filling the stage, looking like something straight out of Harry Potter. And my friends, beaming, eager for that moment that they've anxiously anticipated, where they get to climb those stairs, walk across the stage, shake that hand, and receive that ever-coveted MIT diploma. Their futures glistening before them like the Charles on a cloudless summer day. And then there's me, standing on the side in my ever-fashionable red volunteer vest, asking people to please clear the sidewalk. Please clear the sidewalk. Please clear the sidewalk. As my classmates shiver with the joy of honoring our time-old tradition of taking off their rings and flipping them, I don't join them. I could have been one of them. Maybe I should have been one of them. But I'm not. And you know what I've realized? I will be forever grateful for that. Now, I'm sure a lot of you probably think I'm crazy for saying that. Who doesn't want their MIT diploma? And I do, don't get me wrong. But I've learned that there's so much more. That MIT diploma means a lot, but it doesn't symbolize even half of what I've been through while I've been here. Plenty of learning takes place inside classrooms at MIT. Everyone knows that. But immense amounts of learning take place far beyond the classroom. And in all honesty, those are probably the most important lessons of all. When I wasn't sitting at desks or lab benches, staring at chalkboards or petri dishes, I was learning important life lessons, like life isn't fair. There's no such thing as normal. No one knows you better than you, and sometimes you are that guy. So we'll go ahead and start with that one first. I'd like you guys to think for a minute, close your eyes if you'd like, about those college visits that you took not so long ago. At each of those visits, there's a panel of students eager to share their experiences and answer questions. And on that panel, there's always one guy, you know, that guy, whose life was an utter train wreck. He'll talk about how his relative died, and then he broke his elbow, and then his roommate got sick, and he never, ever, ever would have made it through without the help and support of his school. As heartwarming as that is, I bet it doesn't even cross anyone's mind that they could become that guy. It certainly didn't occur to me until I became that guy. My freshman fall, I came in experiencing a lot of standard MIT emotions: excitement, passion, fear. But I was eager to get started. Now, a tidbit of background information. Physics and I do not, I repeat, do not, get along in any way, shape, or form. So I knew coming in that I would have to expend some extra effort in that class. So I worked with friends, I attended office hours, I bugged the professors, and I pulled off an 87 on my first midterm. I could not believe it. Then, the week before the second round of midterms, my grandfather suddenly died. In a flurry of motion, I packed up my things and headed to Michigan to be with my family. I returned to the ever-daunting physics midterm, and while I've partially repressed this memory, I got something along the lines of a 29. My grade was barely salvageable, and my class had the luck of drawing the hardest 801 final that students had seen in years. Let's just say there's no record of me ever taking that class. In the spring, I was starting to seriously worry about my ability to afford MIT. And in the same week, my dad lost his job and my mom got sick. I was suddenly thrown right back off course, and I had no idea what to do. MIT students don't have problems, I thought. Real MIT students don't ask for help. With that attitude, I barely scraped by. But going into my fall of sophomore year, I thought, the craziness is all over. It can't get any worse. Then I caught swine flu. I was sick for 2.5 months, and I ended up having to take the year off. I called my mom, pathetically, in tears, saying I just couldn't do it anymore. And she promptly dropped everything, drove up, helped me pack my things, and take my sorry self home. After a horrendous freshman year, I was spending my sophomore year at home, recuperating and dealing with a whole slew of health issues. I had become that guy, and that wasn't okay with me. I was embarrassed. I felt weak and inferior, and I worried that I would never succeed. Through leaving, I felt as though I had failed at something that my classmates had somehow succeeded in. When I was feeling better in the spring, I had the opportunity to lead a retreat called Kairos, a retreat that I went on when I was in high school. While I was there, I shared my experiences, my struggles, the challenges I had faced. And I got a reaction that I didn't quite expect. The high school students appreciated what I had said. They embraced it. And they were relieved to see that they weren't the only ones going through a hard time. And it was in those meaningful conversations that I began to see the benefit of it all. I was that guy, but that was okay. In fact, it seemed to be beneficial. These struggles segue nicely into my next lesson learned. Life isn't fair. Leaving MIT sucks. You feel as though your whole life has been turned upside down. And while your whole world has stopped moving, everyone else is going on in full speed. Returning to MIT also sucks. It's a stressful, complicated process whereby you fill out an application proving that you utilized your time off well and that you're ready to come back and face all of the challenges that MIT will undoubtedly throw your way. You lay it all out on the table in the hopes that this place that you hate to love and love to hate will take you back. And once you get back, it's not necessarily any easier. You still have just as many problem sets, exams, headaches, and sleepless nights as you did before. You can be crippled by the fear that history is going to repeat itself. And you face many questions about who you are and where you belong. In life, bad things happen, both within and outside of our control. Yet we walk around this world with this sense of entitlement, this sense that the world somehow owes us something, this thing that we've deemed fairness. Life isn't fair. No one has said that, and if they did, they were lying. True fairness is about as realistic as true perfection. They only exist in theory, and while they're great things to strive for, it's a waste of time to expect for them to happen. Instead, we need to change our perspective, change the way we look at things, and accept that this notion of fairness that we've created just doesn't exist. One of my sorority sisters posted a note on my door the other day that said, "Nothing is impossible. Even the word itself says I'm possible." And I love wordplay, so of course I was very amused. But really, you just need to change that perspective and recognize that it's about how you look at it. And there's many different angles. Part of embracing this notion of not striving for fairness or perfection is realizing that striving for normalcy is just as fruitless. There is no such thing as normal. Really, it doesn't exist. Unless you're talking about vectors. Coming back to MIT after taking time off, normalcy is a huge issue that we face. What class year am I now? What brass rat should I get? How do I explain that I'm not going to be graduating on the normal MIT timescale? These are all questions that returning students wrestle with. And students from all walks of life at MIT wrestle with similar questions about their identity and their purpose here. At MIT, we have a unique ability to embrace our quirks and our abnormalities, so to speak. And yet we still insist on defining and striving for this normal MIT experience. I personally was having a career crisis, so to speak. Ever since I was 5, I've wanted to be an elementary school teacher. But I also love math and science, and I couldn't deny the fact that I felt as though I fit in here in a way that I'd never fit anywhere before in my life. And the people inspired me beyond words. So I went back and forth, and I finally decided to come here for brain and cognitive science instead of going to another institution for education. Lo and behold, once I made it here, I found out that MIT has a joint program with Wellesley where I can still get my teacher certification while I'm here. It was amazing. I felt as though I didn't have to choose. I could do it all. So last semester, I was in my advisor's office talking to her about how I could mesh my MIT and Wellesley schedules, explaining my passion for teaching and my dreams of one day being in a classroom myself. And she bluntly cut me off and she said, "You want to teach kids? Well, I'd say you picked the wrong school." I was floored, but not in the way that you might expect. Freshman me would have crumbled into an existential crisis, frantically scurrying around looking for transfer applications. But junior me had come a long way. I had finally embraced my abnormality, and I was okay with what I wanted and what I needed. And while I didn't say it to her face, my first thought was, "Screw you." What do you know about me and what I want and what I need? Which brings me to my final point. No one knows you better than you. If you need something, you can be your own advocate. Every person has a choice to be either their own worst enemy or their own best friend. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to make my enemies list any longer than it has to be. We grow up with ourselves, day in and day out, through everything. We know ourselves in a way that no one else does. And if you can't voice your needs, your desires, your concerns, your dreams, you can't expect anyone else to know about them. So what's the point of all this? Well, in 34 weeks, not that anyone's counting, I'll be walking across that stage and receiving that diploma. And while I know it'll be a meaningful experience, it will be far from representing everything that I've been through here. If I had had a quote-unquote normal MIT experience, I would never have joined my sorority. I wouldn't have advised 60-plus freshmen through their first year here. I wouldn't have had nearly as many tears, laughs, challenges, obstacles to overcome. And those things have made me who I am. Through my struggles, I've learned to persevere. I've learned not only how, but when to ask for help. And I've connected with countless resources on campus, from student support services and student disability services to MIT Medical and mental health. And through sharing my own story, I've become a resource for other students who are just as alone and scared as I was. All of these things have taught me that I can do anything. They've given me the tools I need to accomplish anything I face, including public speaking. And while our MIT diplomas are amazing things that will get us a long way in life, they don't represent that. And honestly, I think that those experiences deserve a recognition all their own. Thank you.